Para ser taxista em Nova York, primeiro temos de ir a um teste feito pela garagem. O teste é feito de perguntas sobre caminhos. Como é que se vai para as corridas de cavalos e para o aeroporto de Kennedy em hora de ponta. Eram 25 perguntas. Acertei 16. Passei.
Hello, welcome to the debate of the film No Taxi do Shark, a film by Susana Nobre, that we are very, very pleased to have in the selection of Vision du Réel 2021. And I'm very happy to have Susana together with us to have some questions and answers from her. So Susana, thank you very much for joining, and please, I would like to know, you found an extraordinary character. Joaquim is really great in the film in many, many aspects. How did you find him?
Well, I found him while I was working in a program for adults education called New Opportunities. When I met him, he was in the real situation that he is in the film. So for the film, I recreate the moment where I met him. He was unemployed and near to retirement. So, and he had the need to look for the stamps to prove that he was looking for a job, for not lose the social benefits for unemployment. So that's where I met him. That's where we start our real relation, and he made this the process with me, the educational process with me. It was a process that was based on the biographical writing. Everyone should write his own history, personal history. In that process, I started to meet him, to know him better. And even when he finished the process, we keep our relation as friends, and we talk a lot. So
now that you mentioned how you found him, met him, and the relation you have with him, I'm curious to know how you balance those real elements, let's say in cinema words more towards documentary, and the fictional aspects of the film. How did you manage that balance?
I think that my starting point for this film, it was I'd like to make a portrait of Joaquim, and also a portrait of all the geographical place where I worked, and the place where Joaquim born. So I think I have this kind of principle, and my approach for the film, I think it was more like to do a portrait, a geographical portrait, and also a portrait of a man. So I think it was that kind of I mixture those lines, those elements, and I started to compose something between those real elements and the fiction that was in my head. And it was in my head, but it was created by Joaquim's storytelling. So I think it was more a composition, a work of composition between all the elements that I collected during our relation, during my work in that town. It's a small town near Lisboa, a very industrial town.
Well, actually, talking about composition and the town, I was going to ask you about the locations, because all the frames seem very beautifully composed, and also give an idea of an articulation between the past and the present. And how important for you in this film were those precise locations?
I don't know. I had already made 2 films So it was very present in my mind, the kind of the geography. So I felt that I was mature, more mature, to make all these transitions between scales, to shoot a mountain and then trail. I don't know. For me, I think I had already that kind of maturity that gave me a more precise way to frame the landscape. To the transition for New York, because I tried to find something that I really didn't know how it was. I thought it was the places that were immigrants' places, where people were together, were drinking until late. And so I didn't have any kind of photograph, any kind of archive of that.
It's interesting because there's an imaginary level that comes with, for instance, the location of the bar.
It's funny because everything is in the same place. The bar is in Alhandra, the city where Joaquin lives. Everything in the same place.
That's very amazing.
Yes, I think the elements from America. It's funny because they are all over. They are all over. Even in Alhandra, you have a lot of signs of America.
Yeah, and also to give this sense of the American life of Joaquin, the music plays an important role. How was for you the decision of those inclusions?
I have a music from a Portuguese band from the 60s it was very famous at the time. And it was a band that Joaquin told me that he liked it a lot. So it was the music that came from him, the first one. And there's another one, the music from the bar in New York. It was a very subtle citation of Elvis. It's the only one, but very, because I didn't want to put a lot of attention on it. But I think it's beautiful, and the Unchained Melody. Even the title is very beautiful for the film.
Absolutely. And then, Susana, in this film, we talk about a lifetime dedication to work, and then the retirement, and how's this situation in Portugal, but this resonates in other places of the world globally. And so this condition of time and work was an important central subject for you?
Yes, it became, because of my experience in that program. It was very, for me, it was something that I became very focused on on making films about the labor, the working class, and because in that program I listen a lot of stories about the people's life after beginning on starting from the professional perspective, from the professional experience. So all the descriptions about the places where people had worked, industrial places very, very hard, very rugged. I was like transport for that kind of ambience. So yes, I think that work gave me a sensibility, and I started to pay more attention about that. So I was even even the situation where Joaquin was, it's very strange because I think that even in the end of his professional life, he needs to prove something to have the benefits. So when it was obvious that he will not return to professional life, it was impossible, because even the salary that the benefits were bigger than the salary that he could afford. So so I lost the question.
No, had to do with this value of the time in a life like dedicated to work. No? It's a bit of a Marxist maybe approach that it's there floating in this relation between our work, our time, and the value that at the end we have that has.
Yes, but in Joaquim, I was more attracted by the immigrant way of life, because it was not about money. I think it was something that he was trying to fight for his freedom. He wanted to fight for his freedom, or his freedom to fight, to have a freedom to fight for something, to the contrary. So it was more impressed me. It was that kind of freedom, and he was really living in America. He was not only there for the dollars. I think he was really enjoying the experience to be with other people, to have a life there. And I think there are very rare moments when you, as a human being, are in the potential of all your capacities, all your and I think Joaquim and a lot of immigrants, when they are abroad, I think there are kind of potential that is very rare. People are very strong and very open to fight for their goals. And I think and at the same time, we're very open-minded to learn, to know other people. I think that kind of openness, it was something that attracted me a lot in his history.
It's interesting you mentioned the immigrant aspect, because he's an immigrant when he goes to the States and spends there a big part of his life. And then the connection he has with those immigrants in Portugal. That was an idea that came to you, or that was part of Joaquim's life?
It was because, yes, there's the scene in the atelier, mechanical atelier, but it was because it was the man that was there. And I think, but after, in the editing room, yeah, I saw that. I thought that was a very interesting relation to see, talking with people, immigrants in Portugal. Yeah.
And one last question. You did the post-production of this film already under the lockdown, right?
Yes.
And how was that? Now that it's something that is a concern for all the filmmakers and the film community.
Yeah, for me it was good to have that work to do. I was a little lost, a lot, because I think it was a very risky film. Because I put a lot of things, I put a lot of ideas in the film, and sometimes that can be a little dangerous. And I worked for a lot of weeks with an editor, and then he told me, now you must be alone to make your decisions. And I stay alone for a long time, more than the time that we work together. And I really need to, oh yes, I closed myself in the editing. And I think it was a very good solution and idea, because I think I need to be alone to find the films.
It definitely shows in the result or the elaboration. So Susana, thank you very, very much for sharing with us all these ideas and this beautiful film. And we hope to see you soon in person in Neon next time.
Okay. Ciao. Thank you.
Ciao.